in the United States of America. Abdul-Baha went there and told to the people, Christianity as such is over. The dispensation is finished. Islam, Judaism, all of it. Baha'ullah is the fulfillment of all the prophecies in the Bible. He has come to set a new standard of spirituality. And all the Americans, they heard it. They listened to it. Why would they listen to an Iranian who can't even speak their language? This was the greatest upheaval in the history of the planet Earth, that the President of the United States of America enters a session to listen to a preacher of a different religion, very unknown, no one knows Baha'i faith, to listen to it. His foreign minister to be a Baha'i. Can you believe that? President Roosevelt was there. People of high class like Admiral Perry, Graham Bell, begged Abdul-Baha to go to speak into the Institute of Technology in Chicago. Abdul-Baha, it's amazing. He said, we came to see some American friends that invited us. I could never guess this far it would go. Then he says, this is the power of Baha'ullah. But you look at this though. As good as Abdul-Baha is, the student has to be just as good. So it's a two ways. The teacher is great, so is the students, the listeners, you know. So Americans were the direct participant of creations of the greatest miracle of our time. Please think about it. A man of a different religion goes to a synagogue, to a church, to a mosque, and preach his own religion in that holy place, and people listen to him, says, yes, 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 sir. So many amazing things happened in that 2 years. Even the money was gathered to create, for the creation of the first Baha'i temple in Illinois. You gotta go see it. It's an amazing thing. So, it seems that the plan of God through Abraham and his two children, it ended here. That from the country of Islam, Baha'i faith flourishes and comes up. And from the Christianity, the Anglo-Saxon race is given the honor to create a new planet, a new standard called Canada, United States, Australia. And when these two ideologies, they meet each other, just like the soul has gone into the body. It's very amazing. I like to bring this to your attention, my dear American friends, because you know, and I know, we all know it. It's not a big philosophical lesson here. Man does have physical needs, which lessons of economy is to listen, the answer to it. This is why we work to make money for our body. We do need friends. We're sociable, so we have friends around. We marry, we have children, we have family. That's the social part of us. But there is a spiritual part and a spiritual dimension to the life of man. You see, this is the problem that has been dismissed, or it has been protested. Some people trying to replace it. People cannot be Christ. People cannot become Muhammad. People cannot become the manifestation of God. Because the manifestation of God was not a prophet, is not a manifestation of mere words. The word of Jesus and Muhammad perhaps have been taught by a lot of other people. Baha'u'llah says, my enemies have excelled me in talking. So what is it then? As something else. I've always given an example that there's a lady has a little son called Jimmy. She has to go for a couple of days, leave the boy with the grandfather, and time comes to eat food. Whatever grandma and grandpa do, the child doesn't listen, don't eat. They bring a priest, maybe talk to him into one. They bring a doctor, one. Teacher, one. And finally, in this situation, what to do? The door opens and the mother comes in, and they tell him Jimmy hasn't been eating. And she goes, Jimmy, eat your food. And he goes, okay, mom. Why would the child listen to mother and not the doctor and not the priest and not even anybody else? It's because of the relationship that's there. Prophet of God has that kind of a relationship with mankind. You can't analyze it to say this type of word of Jesus affected the Romans. It's not. It's who was talking to. That was the matter. When they looked at his eyes, they saw something so kind, so close, so near. It felt like the closest being to you, closer than your mother. This was the situation in Iran. When 20,000 of followers of the Bab, they all died. They were all killed by the Muslims, by the Shiites of Iran, which none of them is still today have taken any lesson. Instead, they said to God, you brought a messenger for us, we don't want him. We want our own. We want our own Imam Khomeini. And we know what Imam Khomeini did to the Iranians. There's not a single person happy about him. But it was their choice. It was not so much Ayatollah Khomeini's fault as the people that they followed him. They protested with God's plan as a prophet, as a Messiah. They wanted their own. That's what happened. So, if you're thinking that this church or that church or this ideology or that Buddhist or this Muslim, they can replace the prophet of God, you are very wrong. None of them can do it. For one thing, they cannot convince each other, these priests of America, that finally all the American Christians have one book, they follow one particular church. Impossible. And the drawback in this is this. There are two groups of people believing same God, same book, but they are not accepting each other. Disunity. And this disunity is costly. It costs life, money, time, reputations, and getting hijacked by the Hollywood. They say, okay, you can agree on something, I'm going to bring you a new mythology, I'm going to create a new Superman and Batman for you, if you can't get along on top of Jesus. So Christianity is like a jigsaw puzzle right now. It's like a piece that's broken. No one can put it together. It's impossible, because Christ has come back. Same Christ with new ideas. He has made a self-destruct mechanism in it that it will die. It's the same Christ. He was teaching grade 2, now he's teaching grade 3. He was teaching high school, now he's teaching university. It's the same one. As he says in the Bible, when I come back, I will teach you things that you do not know. Now, for those who are very, much into the Christianity, read the book, Thief in the Night, by William Sears. It's absolutely magnificent. There's no doubt about it. It is, Baha'ullah is the Christ coming back. For those who do not need these things and want to go to see what happened, why don't you start with a book of William Sears called Release the Sun? It's written for the, very nice book. Release the Sun, so we get a glimpse of the history. Or if you want to know more about the history of the Baha'i faith, go on the Bahai.org, BahaiLibrary.org. The books are there. The speeches of Abdul-Baha in United States. Every day there was a speech, every day. And how these Americans, so many of them, They grasped it completely. One of whom was Martha Ruth. She was such a fantastic teacher. None like her has ever been in the Baha'i faith. She is the only one. Cannot even, yet we have to see a repeat of her. She taught the entire planet. Even the Queen Mary of Romania, she embraced the faith through her. She was an American, Martha Ruth, and many thousands of them, okay? It's all the book, you can get it. I have to emphasize to you then, for this spiritual need, we gotta go and fulfill it. Why Christianity and Islam and Buddhism and this and that doesn't work in the United States? Why? It's very simple. United States of America is basically a people of the Europe coming back here together to create a new continent. They renounced it. They created a new set. Religions of the past, Christianity, was for Europe. That was 1,000 years. Or Islam, same thing. It cannot work in the United States. Because United States of America is not those countries. The secret of the United States is combinations. People don't know how democracy works in the United States of America. As not by the mere elections. Many people elect a president and they're all dictators. Or by a group of people, such as the Soviet Union. You know, there was always a party elected in power. That didn't bring democracy. Or certain other countries that they do not have other. Democracy in the United States is creation's existence of the opposite and equal right for people. Why is it working? Is because the minorities in the United States have the same right as the majority, the unelected people have the same right as others. This is how you know if democracy works or not. It works in Canada, it works in the United States, it works partially in England, it works in Australia. But people have the same right, although they're not elected, although they're opposing your views. Why? Is because of the combination. That's the secret. If they were all English, it would be dictatorship. If it was all French, it would have been the same thing. But here something amazing happened. An Englishman from England, which is for a country, you know, English, and then Irish, Scottish, and Wales. They all came here. In the beginning, it was great. The religious background of Christianity was helped them to come down here. But when they came down here, they changed. They were not the same people. Irish was not hating the English, but English was Anglican. Irish was Catholic. They said, you know, this is a new country. Irish marries English. One Catholic, one Protestant. But the children, they didn't know which one to follow. Protestants towards them, you know, dad, or Catholic towards mom. And it was the case with all other ethnicities, different churches. Orthodox, the Russians or not. Then the prime directive that was governing the family died out. You see, we are in the womb of the mother, and we grow arms and hands, Baha'ullah says. Why? It's because we're coming out of the womb and we need them. We don't have hand, we're handicapped. We don't have eye, we're blind. Now there is a second womb, as a social womb, that a mom and dad have to raise this child for 15 years at least, within the family, loved by a male and a female. So there's a rule working there, a prime directive. There's a protocol. That's called religion. Prophet of God is not a philosopher that can go to university and study the regurgitated ideas of others and come back. You say it, people won't believe it. They won't act upon it. It's not laws that you can enact how to rule the family. That won't work. Science can work. Philosophy can work. Only the Prophet of God, whose word goes into the heart of the people, as I said before, because of his relationship with the mankind. So these two people, as a mother and father, they love each other. They don't lie to each other. They raise the kid. But in the West, something happened. Some kind of an annihilation took place. Christian father of Catholic and the Anglican mother of the Protestant mother of the whatever, English, and that was Irish. They go together, they annihilated. Kids, they didn't know which one to follow. Therefore, religion and its role that was so preeminent in Europe, it died in US. Families, they had to be raised differently. And thanks Hollywood, once they saw things are not working, they came back and created lots of other characters to replace those things. But of course it's not working, didn't work. Without this third dimension of the spiritual dimensions, which is coming ironically from the West, from the East, Baha'i faith from the East. The ideology that is so much affinity with the West. Even the Baha'i divorce is close to you. In the Baha'i divorce, you can't just get divorced. You have to put a year of patience, they call it. For a year, husband and wife, they have to live in the same city. If they couldn't get along, they have to then call it divorce. Same thing in the West, in Canada, I know for that matter. You have to wait a year before you get divorced. So many rules. Compulsory education. Baha'ullah says compulsory. Kids have to go to a school. Not in Iran. When he brought this up, nobody was doing that. All the Middle East, most of the countries in the world. In 1844, I don't think anywhere in the world was compulsory. Maybe in US it was, or some European country. But Baha'u'llah universal, made it universal. So many things that are in US, the principles, the way Americans live their life, their concept is this. Is the concept of the Baha'i faith. In here, principles of the Baha'i faith, which are 12 principles, all of it is working. But Americans, they have lost the system by which they can raise a child that listen to the mom and dad. That is spirit of America is the Baha'ullah, the Baha'i faith. Why? Look at the miracle, people. In 1912, Abdul-Baha comes to the United States. I don't know, thousands of churches, if not hundreds. Hundreds, if not 1,000. They came and invited him to go to those churches to give them the teaching of a new faith of God. Many priests, they changed their religion into Baha'i faith. So, it's the most historical event in the evolution of mankind. That for the first time, a messenger of God is fully embraced by a nation. Oh, we're waiting for you. Where are you? Could you imagine? Jesus comes and says, oh, we were waiting for you. No. They killed him. Muhammad, same thing. Bob in Iran, same thing. Baha'u'llah, same thing. But not in the West. Let's read some of the writing. There are probably few books just to praise United States of America by the Baha'u'llah and the Baha'i faith, but I read some of it. There are many of them. Oh, can I read all of these? It's in the book, Citadel of the Faith, the writing of Shoghi Effendi. The United States is signally blessed. This nation, so signally blessed, occupying so eminent and responsible a position in a continent so wonderfully endowed, was the first among the nations of the West to be warned and illuminated by the rays of the revelations of Baha'u'llah. Soon after the proclamation of his covenant on the morrows of his ascension, this nation, moreover, may well claim to have, as a result of its effective participation in both the First and the Second World Wars, redressed the balance, saved mankind the horrors of devastations and bloodshed involved in the prolongations of hostilities, and decisively contributed in the course of the latter conflict to the overthrow of the exponents of the ideologies fundamentally at variance with the universal tenets of our faith. To her President, the immortal Woodrow Wilson, must be ascribed the unique honor among the statesmen of any nation, whether of the East or of the West, of having voiced sentiments so akin to the principles animating the cause of Baha'ullah, and of having more than any other world leader contributed to the creations of the League of Nations, achievement which is the pen of the center of God's covenant acclaimed as signalizing the dawn of the most great peace, whose sun, according to the same pen, must needs arise as the direct consequences of the enforcement of the laws of the dispensation of Baha'ullah. The matchless position achieved by so preeminent a President of the American Union in a former period at so critical a juncture in the international affairs must now be added a splendid initiative taken in recent years by the American government, culminating in the birth of the successor of that league in San Francisco and the establishment of its permanent seat in the city of New York. Nor can the preponderating influence exerted by this nation at the councils of the world, the prodigious economic and political power that it wields, the prestige it enjoys, the wealth of which it disposes, the idealism that animates its people, her magnificent contribution as a result of her unparalleled productive power for the relief of human suffering and the rehabilitations of the peoples and nations, be overlooked in a survey of the position which she holds, and which distinguishes her from her sister nations in both the New and the Old World. Can you believe Baha'u'llah? Baha'i faith, so much of an affinity. For the first time, if you read the Baha'i faith, if you read more about it, completely United States of America, your nation is responsible for the creation of the peace in the world. I'm going to go